Well, while we continue to track our health, the devices we often wear on our wrists and arms can be helpful. But we wanted to know how accurate that data really is. Well, here's Danny's discussion with Coco medical expert Dr. Kohli.
Dr. Kohli, welcome back. Okay, I'm so excited to talk to you about this today because I just got an Apple Watch, and a lot of us have these kinds of technologies that are supposed to help with tracking. So you have one too, right?
I do, yes.
Matching. Look at that. Oh, so beautiful. There we go. And you know, a lot of this, I actually originally got this so that I could track both my health when it comes to, going outside, exercising, all of that. And then a lot of people get it for things like sleep. I know my husband just got a Whoop, which is supposed to help track sleep. I want to talk to you about these devices and whether or not they actually work when it comes to tracking our movement and our sleep.
Well, it's interesting that you asked. So the answer is yes and no.
Okay.
So there is data that when you use these tracking devices, you move more.
Okay.
So if you're tracking your steps, you're more likely to, achieve goals that you set and reach those steps.
Sure.
But there's actually a study done in the Journal of American Medical Association where they randomized people to just diet, exercise, the right motivational tips.
Yeah.
Or they added a tracking device.
Okay.
And guess who lost more weight?
Oh gosh.
Just the people with diet and exercise.
Really?
Because the ones that had the tracking device became almost too reliant on the tracking device, and they stopped motivating themselves to do the right things unless their watch told them to do whatever.
Interesting.
And I know personally myself, I get that reminder time to walk and I just swipe it away because I'm still sitting at my desk. So there has to be some degree of balance. Yes, these devices are helpful to achieve our goals, but we have to stay motivated and we have to use them in the correct way.
Okay, and there are so many devices out there. I mean, you just told me about one that's supposed to help sleeping by tapping on the back of your neck. I mean, there are rings, there are the watches. Are there specific ones that would work better for tracking these kinds of things?
So there's some that I recommend everybody have.
Okay.
And those are sort of basic health monitoring devices. So pulse oximeter, because we're just got through the COVID pandemic.
Right.
And as physicians, we're relying now on a lot of patients to give us vital signs from home.
Yeah.
So pulse oximeter and blood pressure cuff should be in every household, in my opinion. And if you don't have one, get those. When it comes to kind of more behavioral change, you want to think about what it is that you're trying to change.
Okay.
So if you're trying to change your exercise patterns, then likely a device that is a pedometer that tracks your steps. If you're trying to change your eating patterns, then apps that can help you sort of track how much you're eating, portion control, what your nutrition is that you're taking in, and then sleep, of course, as you mentioned, Nate has, that can also help. But regardless of what you're getting, I would say if you're getting a heart rate tracker, don't just get one that has heart rate, get one that actually has a tracing, because that offers us more information. So that would be the Apple Watch or something called Cardia.
Okay.
And if you're getting a sleep tracker, try to get one that measures your oxygen at night.
Okay.
Because that can help diagnose conditions like sleep apnea.
That makes sense. Okay. Now, one other question that I have for you, of course, anybody at home that does have one of these devices or an Apple Watch, something like that, oftentimes we also see caloric, whether obviously it's not intake, that would be amazing, but what we're kind of burning throughout the day. How accurate do you think that is? Because, looking at something like this versus looking at something that I wear at the gym, I always am about 100 to 200 calories off. So how accurate is this?
Unfortunately, not that accurate.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
And part of that is because all of our basal metabolic rates are a little different.
Okay.
So everybody lives at a different plateau, and then everybody gets to a different point depending on their level of fitness. So if you're really out of shape and you run up a flight of stairs, you might burn more calories than someone who's a long distance runner who goes up a flight of stairs. So they basically use your heart rate to sort of try to extrapolate how many calories you've burned, and they use normograms. We know that sitting burns X amount of calories, walking burns X amount. So it's not a great way. So I would say the best way to know what you're taking in is to keep a journal.
Yeah.
And the best way to know what you're putting out is to really sit down and do the math. There are calculators that you can use. How many minutes did you run? What was your heart rate? What's your body mass index? And that'll help you calculate that.
Okay. Sorry, guys. You still got to do the legwork. Technology's not quite there yet, but that's okay. Dr. Kohli, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Follow Dr. Kohli on social media, and if you have a topic or question for Dr. Kohli, message us on Facebook. Use our page, Colorado and Company on 9 News. Your topic may just end up on the show.